everyone, this is Dan Moffat, Law Offices Pereira and Moffat, here to talk to you a little bit about the do's and don'ts of getting pulled over. Once you get pulled over, the main goal is to remain calm and be polite to the officer. They're going to ask you some questions, and I'm going to go over what you should say and what you shouldn't do in regards to those questions. So the first question the officer typically is going to ask you is going to ask for your license, your registration, and your insurance. And so your goal is to have those ready and not be fumbling in your purse or in the glove compartment, but have those items ready and available to the officer. You can provide those to the officer through your windshield. You do not have to roll down your windshield, but rather just crack your windshield and give them all the information. You can also, while you're getting pulled over, turn on your camera and record this event just for future reference for yourself. Once again, be polite, and then he'll run some information and then start talking to you. He'll typically ask you if you've been drinking. And while at any time during this conversation or during this context, I would advise you not to lie to the officer. That's the second goal, is to not lie. And so any questions you provide, you need to tell them the truth if you're going to provide them the answer. But I would typically say, don't give them an answer. Say you're going to refuse to answer any questions. You can also enforce your right under the Fifth Amendment to remain silent.
Dan, what specific words should someone say to a police officer in that situation?
All you have to do is tell the officer, I'm invoking my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. And know that anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. So they're trying to get as much information and a story about what happened prior to this event, and you do not have to tell them that information. So that's very important. And the main key point in this context is to remain silent. The officer is going to eventually ask you to step out of the vehicle. If he asks you to step out of the vehicle, remain polite, and then he's going to ask you to do some field sobriety tests. You do not have to perform any of those field sobriety tests. There are several tests that they're going to ask you to do. Typically, they ask you to do the horizontal gaze nystagmus test, where they put the pen in front of you and they track your eyes left and right. They also do a test where they do a walk and turn, where you take 9 steps forward and return 9 steps back. And they'll also do some other tests in regards to tilting your head back and estimating 30 seconds while your eyes are closed. Typically, all these tests are set for failure. You're not going to be able to pass these tests. Most people can't pass them when they're sober, so don't even try them when you have been drinking. So refuse all the tests, remain silent. You do have to do some things. One of the things you have to do is submit to a test, a chemical test. And there's 2 different tests that they can ask you to do, a blood or breath test. And I would suggest that you do the blood test. And there's 2 reasons for that. The reason why you do a blood test is that, one, the agency will keep a sample of your blood. And when you have a sample of your blood, your defense attorney can ask for that sample to retest it. And once it's retested, it might be different than where the prosecution had you when they tested it. The second way, the reason why you had a blood test, is that it's going to take some time for the officer to go and retrieve a blood sample. During that time, you haven't been drinking, and if you have not performed any other tests, including a field sobriety test, which is the PAS test, then they're going to have a lower BAC level than what you had at the time of driving, which can help you in event, to get your test or your DUI possibly dismissed. So those are the things you have to do, is you have to do that chemical test, but remain silent and deny or refuse any other tests. And the final do in this situation is you do call an attorney. they can help you, and it can make a significant difference in the outcome of your case. So thank you, and call us today. We're open 24 hours. Your defense starts now.